Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial on how to stream with the SpotMe platform. Here we are going to use WebEx as a conferencing tool to capture our speakers, and then we are going to use OBS to capture that WebEx meeting to add some branding elements. So not like the WebEx directly to SpotMe live stream that we presented in another video. Here this is really we really go through OBS to add that layer of branding. So let's open up our OBS and our WebEx meeting. So it's it is, as you can see, the window is a bit crowded. I had to fit everything on the same window to make sure that that you guys can see everything on the recording. It's not ideal. Again, usually you would have two separated screens, but in this case, I think that will do the job. So here I have a WebEx meeting launch that I'm hosting from another computer, from my Mac here. This WebEx meeting, I'm sharing my webcam from my other computer as well as some slides, as you can see. So slides being shared and the camera being enabled. So a typical WebEx meeting with one speaker, let's say, and we are going to focus on that setup of one speaker, really, because WebEx has a few limitations which makes it a bit difficult to go beyond one speaker with the standard WebEx meeting version. There's a WebEx event version that exists, which allows you to nicely lay out your speakers in a grid view and make sure that speakers' cameras stick in their place. You can pin them, basically. You can also pin something here with the meeting version, but it's a bit more restrictive and limited. So here we are going to really focus on one speaker view, active speaker view, and just the slides. And the goal is to capture that with OBS. So here I have just selected rough default templates that we have created. So it's really, there's nothing except a couple of holding slides and some preset views with a few placeholders in terms of slides and speaker camera. So let's start with just very quickly duplicating this speaker view, just duplicating this scene. Whoopsie. Let me actually rename this properly. Main. There we are. Moving that up there. Okay, it's super small. That's not gonna be ideal, but we will make it happen nonetheless. There we go. All right, so let's move actually WebEx on this side of the window. It's a little bit better because otherwise, as soon as I would click on this button on this button, for example, I would have the overlay on top of the WebEx window, which you don't want. So we tend to, if we fit everything on the same window, we tend to fit everything on the right-hand side. All right, so we have a nice layout here with a few just what we call, I think it's called color source, just to indicate to ourselves where the camera will need to be. So let's start with adding a display capture so that we can capture the slides. Slide capture, there we are, this nice parallax effect that we know now. We are going to disable the cursor. We don't want the mouse to be caught if for whatever reason the mouse would be hovering over our view. This is our display capture, so I'm capturing that same display. I'm going to reduce a little bit the window, and then I'm going to hold the Alt key to crop around my slides nicely like this. There we are. And then I'm going to expand again, and here I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup. So just really fitting here and bottom right here, a little bit of black still left. There we go. All right, and then I can just simply fit that over here. There we go. Nothing too shabby here. We have our slide capture that is done. Let's lock it for now, and then I'll do the same with the camera capture. So display capture again. We're basically recapturing the same screen, but I like to create two separated display capture just to keep things neat and tidy. Cropping again around the camera here. And there we go, just making it a little bit bigger. Let's try to remove that. If that's why you need your speakers to be really well nicely aligned in your camera, obviously, so that you can easily crop above the default name that appears. I think it's going to be a bit too wide for our format, so let's make it that way. Let's reduce a little bit the size and see how that works. All right, so I'm moving just with the arrow keys with my keyboard here, really. Yeah, I think that will do. So now we have our camera capture here as well. And the thing I do then is that I just hide both the backgrounds that I created originally. And I think that there we go. We have our nice, our very nice slide and speaker combination here. Then I can just very quickly add a screen only combination. Let's very quickly do that just to give you a feel again. All right, so let's call this main, and here I want to do something a bit different. Here I have a placeholder that I would like to that I may want to use if I was going to have the slides just slightly smaller. In this case, what I want to do is that I want the slide to take the entire space. So I will add a display capture. I can reuse my camera one, no, my slide one, sorry. Obviously, I need to recrop and everything because it's not tied to the source itself. The source itself is really just defining which screen we are using and nothing else. Just tightening the crop a little bit here and the same here. Okay, there we go. And here I'm going to do that. So I mean, at the end, we don't really care about all the other sources that we have, so I could actually just delete them. Let's delete the title slide and the background. This means that I basically have a black screen if I hide the slide capture, the display capture here, which is fine because that's what we want. Okay, the one cool thing about that one again is that it allows us to move through. If, for example, the speaker is presenting something that is like very detailed, like a slide that is complicated with charts or lots of data, you could actually fade in this slide, zoom into the slide, lots of details. The users watching the live stream can actually see these details very well, and then you can fade back with the speaker view. All right, nothing fancy really, but that's a very small trick that allows you to create a little bit of dynamic into your live stream. And then I'll just do some sort of a speaker view with only the speaker talking. Where am I? There we go. Boom. One speaker. Here I'm gonna lock this so that I don't move them around, and I am going to reuse my camera capture here. Again, resizing. I think you guys start to know the drill by now, and it's always a little bit tricky at the beginning when you do that, but once you get the hang of it, you get pretty quick at it. It's obviously a little bit different if you are running an actual live sessions and suddenly speakers are moving and everything. Obviously it causes a little bit of stress or whatever, but you can always, if the camera would change or whatever, the positioning of the window would change, for example, blah blah blah, you could always you could always put a holding slide in the meantime until elements go back to their normal position. You've seen what happened here. If I go over WebEx with the mouse, you have this pop-up that appears here and there. It's the same here, which obviously then reflects on our live stream. One thing we do to avoid that is that the typical setup we do is that we're gonna put the slides full screen on a second screen, and then we are going to extract the speaker view as a separated window, a bit like I'm doing here, and we will avoid absolutely to have the mouse going over these windows, obviously, but that reduces the risks of doing so. Another thing we do as well is that we extract the participant and the chat menus. Otherwise, if someone is chatting or someone is arriving, sometimes it generates also pop-ups. So this is a bit more of a fragile setup than Zoom. You want to be very cautious with making sure that there is no pop-up arriving here and there. So again, separating slides and speaker windows, and then extracting also the participant and the chat one in extra windows is very helpful in making sure that you don't have this kind of stuff. Sorry to diverge here. I'm going to quickly finish that. And here we are. And voila. One typical sequence would be to go from this meeting will start shortly, holding slide, then speakers saying, hey, welcome everybody. I'm very pleased to be here with you today. Let me start to share my presentation with you. Sharing my presentation. Okay, now I have a slide with a lot of details. There we go. Okay. Then going back to slide and then saying, hey guys, thank you for watching my presentation. And then ending, see you next time. Thank you for your participation, everyone. And that's it. I think there is nothing fancier than that, really. Just make sure that you have these windows under control. Again, that's the trickiest bit. And that you obviously set your sound correctly. As you can see on our knowledge base, we have a few more details on that, but the typical thing we do is that we are going to output the sound to our main speaker, if I'm correct. So as a speaker, we're going to use speaker synaptic audio, for example, which is the speaker of the laptop. And then as a setting here, as an audio input, we are going to reselect that, apply. And there's a bit of background noise here. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I'm recording at the same time, but if I was going out of mute on my other laptop, let me see if I can do that. Okay. There's an echo. Mainly because I am recording on that same laptop and I have the speaker out loud. But that's how you would do that. And if you have if you're really just playing WebEx and your OBS configuration, you should be fine with that kind of setup. All right, I think that's it for this tutorial. Thank you guys for watching again. Hope that was a useful tutorial and enjoy your next stream. Bye bye everyone.